Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for another episode of Wellness Wednesdays with Brenda McAllister. Today, we are going to discuss 10 healthy foods. And this does not mean that you should be eating these foods every day, although you could. It just means that if you are regularly consuming these foods, you're probably going to be off to a pretty good start of a healthy lifestyle. Number 1, spinach. Spinach is high in vitamin K. It's high in vitamin A. I like to add spinach to my smoothies. And what I will do is just add a little bit of almond milk, maybe a half a cup, sometimes a cup at the most, and some spinach. And I just put as much spinach in there as I can fit, add some berries, blend it up, and I can either have it right then and there, or I can put it in a blender bottle and take it to go, or have it later. And that's so not that that's a way to sneak it in, but it's, it makes the smoothie look a little bit unappealing. It's usually pretty dark in color, sometimes a little bit more on the black side, but it usually tastes pretty great. Throw a little protein in there if you need to, and you can sneak it into lasagna. And there's a lot of recipes out there. And of course, a salad. And I like to chop up my salad, and I like to add spinach with maybe a romaine, or sometimes a little bit of kale, or even if there's just an iceberg lettuce, or just a different lettuce that maybe either comes prepared in a bag, or if you want to mix it together just for some different flavors, and it makes for a pretty colorful salad. And I like to add a spinach to my eggs. I know that not everybody does this, but again, I like to chop it up first. I think it's a little bit easier to work with, and I think that's absolutely delicious. And I think that if you can get some veggies in first thing in the morning, again, we can kind of check off one of those servings of veggies, because we do want to have about 5. They recommend, up to 7, but I think 5 is a pretty good start. Number 2 is broccoli. And broccoli, it helps prevent cancer, it boosts your immune health, and it prevents colds. And broccoli can be eaten either raw or cooked. I know a lot of people like to eat it with maybe with an assortment of cauliflower, carrots, radishes, different things like that. Just kind of make it on a tray. I like to steam it, and my favorite is from Walmart. It's $1 a bag. It's a steamable bag, and we kind of have it down to a science. We cook it for 4.5 minutes, and there's usually about 2.5 servings in the bag. And we, add it to different things such as stir fry. Again, I'll add that to my eggs, or if I'm making, if we're having some kind of meat and potato, we'll usually pair that with broccoli. And, we do throw it into different recipes as well. And if you are going to eat the broccoli raw, I think sometimes it's a lot more, flavorful if you have it with a dip. And I would suggest, rather than using the sour cream and onion dip, to use a Greek yogurt and mix the French onion seasoning with I think Greek yogurt as a base, to anything when normally we would use mayo, is a really, really good bet. And again, broccoli is awesome in stir fry, as I mentioned before. Or anytime you have a couple different veggies, you would probably want to stick with more of the fresh broccoli. It seems to steam up a little bit better, and it cooks a little bit better. And it makes great leftovers, of course. All right, number 3 is apples. And apples are, well, actually, let me start off with saying there's 7,500 varieties throughout the world. I did look that up because, of course, off the top of my head, I could come up with about 20 or 30, but I knew that there were so many more than that. And crazy, 7,500 varieties throughout the world. Now, of course, we're never going to see the majority of those, but it just goes to show that if you like apples, you're probably not going to get tired of them. There's a lot of different flavors. And apples will lower your chance of heart problems. It lowers blood pressure. And apples are low in calories, and they're very high in water content, which I think helps control hunger, and it aids in weight loss. And of course, if it's higher water content, it keeps you hydrated. And apples are high in fiber, especially the skin, and that helps with intestinal functions. I think the benefit of apples is, number 1, a whole apple I think is easy to eat and transport. Sliced apples, I think they're easy to eat in public. I think sometimes when we pull out an apple, and maybe you say that you're in class, you're not just going to want to start snacking on an apple. I think that's, a little bit, could be loud, and some people might consider that a little bit rude. So if you're going to eat them in public, you may want to slice them. And there's really neat containers that Rubbermaid makes for for different fruits and veggies. And I will take about 4 or 5 apples, slice them up, throw them in the container, and they get a little bit brown, but not as bad as you would think. So the containers that I made for fruits and veggies have, that type of property that they keep it from spoiling. So if you want to slice them ahead of time, then throw, half an apple or an entire apple in a bag. You have that with a piece of string cheese and nuts, and that's a pretty decent meal, pretty decent snack. And I like to add sliced apples or even chopped apples to my salads, especially if I have other berries on that, and then to my cereal, either, cold cereal or hot. So an oatmeal would be a warm cereal. And you can add apples into baked muffins and sweetbreads. And I really like sliced apples with powdered peanut butter. There's not very many people I know that don't like peanut butter, and if they do, I just think that that's kind of unusual. Peanut butter is usually that thing that we really have to try to stay away from because we are all pretty fond of it. But the PB2, basically what they've done is they have just, kind of extracted more or less the oil from the peanut butter itself. So you can either, just use it as a powder, or you can add water to it and kind of turn it back into more of the liquid form. What I like to do is I like my apples chopped. I'll leave it, a little bit bigger pieces, and I put them in a Tupperware container with some powdered peanut butter, and not very much, just to keep the calories down. And I shake it up really well, and then there's a little bit of peanut butter on every single apple. The problem is it's kind of hard to eat in public. You could be a little bit more discreet and maybe use a toothpick. I like to use a fork, so I usually just do that in my office. And if you try to eat it with your fingers, maybe in your car or, in the library or wherever, the cafeteria, wherever you're having your snack, it could be kind of messy, so be prepared. But it's really, really good, and it's just a great snack. And I haven't met anybody that didn't really enjoy that. And again, you could, make a dip with the Greek yogurt and peanut butter, so it's equal parts plain non-fat Greek yogurt, same as in the same ratio to peanut butter. Mix it together. That's a pretty good snack. And I do like to add a little bit more yogurt than peanut butter, not because of the flavor, trust me. It's because I like to keep the calories down. So you can experiment with that a little bit, but it's a great snack, especially if you're having company kind of last minute, or somebody pops over and you think you need to get something out for a snack. That's pretty easy. And I like to add chopped apples on the top of pancakes and waffles, along with syrup, of course, right? And then one of my favorite things to make is I like apple crisp. And so what I do is I will take, let's say 4 or 5 apples, throw them in the crock pot, add a little bit of water, and I take a packet of the sugar-free instant, usually it's maple and brown sugar. Sometimes I'll do cinnamon apple, but I like the sugar-free. And I'll add 1, maybe sometimes 2 packets to that, and I just let it cook overnight. And then in the morning it smells amazing, as you can imagine, and doesn't have hardly any calories, doesn't have any sugar, unless you would add additional sugar to it, because your oatmeal was sugar-free. So that's great. And again, if you want a quick snack in the morning, you can even eat it cool with, if you wanted to, you could do some ice cream. That would make it amazing. Add a little bit of powdered peanut butter to the top, whatever you want to do. But again, that's really easy if you're having company. And speaking of apples still, I like to make apple cider, but again, there's so much sugar. I use apple juice. So I'll just throw apple juice in my crock pot, or not my crock pot, my percolator pot, with some cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, allspice, all that. And if you would like that recipe, let me know. I have it printed out on a pretty cute card here on my computer. So if you want that recipe, let me know. All right, next we have walnuts. And I know that's a nut that a lot of people probably aren't crazy about. I like walnuts. I like the flavor. I like the texture. Most people think that they're kind of dry, but they're very rich in antioxidants. They're low in carbs, so of course they're safe and healthy for diabetics. And they're a very healthy source of omega-3 fat. They contain fiber. And what I like to do with walnuts is add them to my salads. I think you're kind of figuring me out here. I eat a lot of salads. And so I like to kind of jazz them up every now and then. So I like to add them to my salads, of course, on top of my oatmeal, which is a sugar-free oatmeal mixed with a little bit of wheat bran. Again, lots of fiber, not very many calories. And if you're not crazy about walnuts, you can mix them with other nuts, or just, learn to eat them alone too and maybe appreciate them, or add them to a trail mix. All right, number 5, eggs. And I would say, again, most people like eggs. It's a great source of protein. They contain vitamin A as well, along with protein. And I believe that generally eggs are pretty inexpensive. I think it was maybe last summer, 2 summers ago, they really skyrocketed in price. I can't remember exactly why, but they're generally pretty inexpensive. And they have choline, which is in the yolk of the egg, and that is good for your brain health. And I believe also your eyesight, but don't quote me on that because I don't remember for sure. And I think the eggs are so versatile. If you have hard-boiled eggs, you could just eat it alone, or again, slice on top of a salad, or you could scramble them with and add a lot of fresh or even frozen vegetables. You can eat them, you can fry them. And I was, asked that you would do like a dry fry, which means that you don't really add any oil, or you can add some of the cooking spray. So you're not using any butter or, anything fattening like that. And you can have a microwave omelet. Tupperware makes a really, really nice omelet maker that you throw in the microwave, and it's super easy, and you can just eat it right out of the microwave. Or you can, pop a couple pieces of Ezekiel toast in the toaster, make a sandwich, and eat it going down the road, going to class. And egg bakes, I think, are awesome. You can put anything in there that you want. In my family, we all love eggs, but we eat them a little bit differently. I eat them differently than my boys. I throw some, fun stuff in there, some meat and cheese and things like that. Mine consists of mostly veggies. So what I'll do is I'll have out 2 pans. We add different things to the bottom, top it with, eggs for them, egg whites for me, and we each have an egg bake. So you're eating the same thing, it's just a little bit different. So egg bakes are awesome, and you can do those in the crock pot as well. And egg salad, I think, is great. I think it's an easy thing to take with you. It doesn't smell that great. So the person that you're with, if they don't like eggs, that might be a little bit offensive. And again, as with any salad, tuna salad, egg salad, chicken salad, whatever it is, it's a good idea to use a Greek yogurt rather than a mayonnaise. All right, salmon is number 6 on my list. Salmon is high in vitamin B. It's an excellent source of omega-3 fats as well. Vitamin D, and I think salmon is a very filling fish. I know that when we have mahi-mahi, tilapia, halibut, orange roughy, whatever we eat, it seems like we go through it a lot. To feed a family, it doesn't seem like it goes that far. So that's a lot of times why we will have a surf and turf where we'll have a little bit of meat or chicken along with that. But I think salmon is different. I just think it's a very meaty fish, and I think probably because it is higher in fat than the most fish, I think it's a little bit more satisfying. And I love having leftover salmon. Of course, I throw that on top of my salad. And you can make a salmon spread for gatherings that you can put on top of crackers, especially if it's smoked. That is amazing. I have a friend that she's a very good cook, and she always brings something like that, and she always brings something kind of fancy. She brought this the other night, and she told me how extremely easy it was, but it was delicious and everybody liked it, and it was gone before we knew it. And if you want to do it in the house, of course, you can bake it in the oven, and I think that tastes great, or you can grill it indoors or grill it outside. You can pan fry it, again, dry, without any oil if you can. Or a lot of people put it in an air fryer. I do not have an air fryer. I'm not against them. We just don't have them. But people that have them love them. All right, number 7, Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is very high in protein. It has about 17 grams, which is a crazy amount of protein considering that the majority of yogurts have about 100 calories. So that's actually quite a bit of protein for only 100 calories. And I do think that Greek yogurt is pretty filling for me personally. So a lot of times if I'm pretty hungry in the morning, or I'm not really that hungry, but I want something, I'll have, half of a yogurt, which is, about 3 bites. It seems like it's about half of the container. And then I just put my spoon back in there, usually a plastic spoon, put the cellophane back around the spoon just so it kind of holds it in, and stick it back in the fridge. Not that one yogurt is a serving. Sometimes if you just want a little something, maybe it's a little sweetness, or just something that just kind of tides you over, half a yogurt sometimes does a trick. And the second reason that I like Greek yogurt, other than it's high in protein, which is awesome, I think it's very easy to transport and eat. Even if you're going to class, throw it in your lunch bag, you have a frozen bottle of water that's going to keep it plenty cold until you eat it. And when you're finished with it, there's no mess. You throw away the entire container, the spoon that you ate it with, whatever. And you can add, berries, nuts, and granola if you want to. Oh, some people like to do like a high fiber cereal, something that adds some crunch to it. And again, that's easy. Throw all that in a bag. You throw that into your yogurt container. And when you throw the container away, again, you have no mess. And it's very good for your gut health. It has a lot of probiotics. Some people don't do really well, with dairy products. So if you're one of those, of course, you probably don't eat much Greek yogurt, if any at all. But for the majority of us, we're okay with that, and our stomach can handle that, and it does. It's really good for your gut health. And I think there's so many varieties. I know that when people start to eat, Greek yogurt, it's a consistency thing. I think Greek yogurt is very similar to cream cheese. I don't like cream cheese, so when I switched from regular yogurt to Greek yogurt, this was years ago, a friend of mine had suggested black cherry, and she was right. But she had said that black cherry, it just had such a strong flavor that the flavor kind of overpowered the fact that the consistency was so thick. Because you know how with normal yogurt, it seems like you can almost drink it, not with Greek yogurt. So the change was really hard. And I would imagine it's like going from whole milk to skim milk or vice versa. I think there's that period that you have to, kind of adjust. So I think, now that I've been eating Greek yogurt, I don't think I could go back to regular. So if you've tried it and you're not sure that you can stomach it because of the texture, you can try that suggestion. Like she said, the black cherry. And if you don't like black cherry, maybe try one that is maybe kind of like a chocolate flavor or a banana cream or lemon, or just, choose one that you like and just keep trying it. But I also find in the beginning when I suggest this to my clients that if they put something in with it, then it seems there's more of that chewing process. And I think that just makes them, I think it helps them adjust, to eating just plain yogurt at some point. And like I said, yogurt, I love to mix yogurt in with things. I like the plain non-fat yogurt for a lot of different things. I use it for my dips all the time. Anytime something calls for mayonnaise, I throw that in. And my husband has started using that also. We made a fish the other night, and we didn't have any tartar sauce. I don't know if we ever have, but the recipe called for tartar sauce, and he just went ahead and kind of whipped something up, and Greek yogurt was the base, and it was actually very, very good. And you can use, or make salad dressings out of, yogurt and different things like that. And Pinterest is a great source for all of that. And I haven't done this, honestly, but I know that people will freeze it. I don't know if you can maybe freeze it in a Dixie cup and just add a popsicle stick, let it freeze, take it out, and you have frozen yogurt. And I know they have something for animals, as we all love our animals, right? And it's called a pup pop. And I believe what that was, without looking it up here, and I didn't before this, it is yogurt, I think plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and then peanut butter. They mix it together, throw it in a container, and they will take a puppy treat, like one of the long stick ones, I think one of the harder ones, and they use that as the stick, because of course you wouldn't want them to chew on the stick, but that way they can eat the whole thing. So I might have to try that this summer on a hot summer day. I'm pretty sure that my puppies would think that it was okay. All right, number 8 is quinoa. And quinoa is one of those foods that when I mention it, people don't have any idea what I'm talking about. So I always try to have a pack on hand that I can show them and, flip it over and let them kind of go through the nutrition content and such. So I eat quinoa all the time. That's an exaggeration. I eat it, quite frequently, and I usually try to have some in the fridge. I will add it to my eggs, salads. I'll add it to, I use that rather than rice. And my son is okay with it. My husband, he would still prefer rice. Quinoa doesn't have a lot of flavor unless you add something to it. But it's high in fiber. Oh, it's high in protein, and it helps fight cancer as well. It has manganese. It lowers cholesterol. It helps to regulate blood sugar. There's a lot of different health benefits of quinoa. And there's a few calories in quinoa, but it's such a natural food that that it's a food that's okay to eat, even if if it does have a higher calorie content. It's more of a whole food. And like I said, we use that in place of rice. It's easy to cook. It takes 15 minutes. It's 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water, or half cup of quinoa to 1 cup water, however much you want to make. And you can add it to soups and casseroles. I do add it to, if I'm going to have chili or something like that. I don't put it in the crock pot because I don't think my family would be a fan of that. So I just add it to mine before I heat it up. Or you can add it to a vegetable soup and different things like that. And there's a lot of quinoa recipes. There's a salad that I make. And again, if you would like that recipe, please let me know. It is literally my go-to. I bring it to almost every gathering that we have because it's very, very pretty. Most people like it, and it's something that I know I can eat regardless of whatever else is there. I can eat that, and it's healthy enough. So if somebody brings a scotcheroo, I know I can have a scotcheroo or 2. All right, and I have not tried this either, but a lot of people, they will heat up quinoa even if they've already cooked it. They heat it up and they put a little bit of milk on it. And they might even put, say some honey or some Splenda or something, and they eat it as a hot cereal. Like I said, I've never done that, but I might have to try it. All right, number 9, avocado. I am a huge fan of avocado. I would imagine a lot of you probably are as well. An avocado contains over 20 vitamins, which I think is impressive. It's high in antioxidants. It has soluble fiber. It contains vitamins C, E, and K. And it contains healthy fat, which lowers your cholesterol. And it also has been shown to reduce the risk of stroke and heart attack. And I think that the healthy fat in the avocado, I think it keeps you full. And I've, read before that it keeps you full for up to 5 hours after your meal. And there's a lot of different ways that you can slice the avocado. I think everybody kind of has their way, but I like to slice mine and present it kind of nicely. But if I'm going to put it on top of, let's say like a hamburger or something like that, I would just, kind of mash and make it more like not like a sauce, but kind of. Or you can put on your toast and use it as a base for, maybe an egg, or I like to eat sauerkraut on mine. I know that sounds kind of gross. And then I'll add that everything bagel seasoning. I think that's just a kind of a great treat. And it also helps to regulate your insulin and your glucose levels. And I like to add it to smoothies. That's not true. I don't add it to my smoothies. I misspoke. People have. I personally think that's great. I think that's okay. I like to keep my smoothies kind of strictly to the berries and spinach. And I like to save my avocado for later in the day. I always add it to my salad at lunch. I honestly think that if I add it to my smoothie, I would miss out on the flavor. I love the flavor of avocado, and if I threw it in with my smoothie, number one, it would probably have more calories in my smoothie than I would want. Plus, I want to save it for later in the day, and I don't have more than one. And like I said, I add it to my salads. I, put it on top of my eggs. You can use it on top of any sandwich that you're having. You can top it, on like your chicken, or I like it on fish. I like it on toast. We use Ezekiel bread. You could use it in dips. You could use it as a base for tuna or egg salad, or even deviled eggs. So again, rather than using a mayo, you would use kind of mashed avocado, with Greek yogurt, or just instead of. And again, I think that would be really, really filling. So kind of watch that too. Watch that portion. You probably wouldn't need quite as much. And if you didn't want to eat that on bread, you could probably even just find, some healthier crackers. I know that they're not healthy, but they're healthier. There's better varieties of crackers, and you could use to eat that tuna, or better yet, just use a spoon. And again, you can mash them and use them in recipes, to boost nutrition, flavor, and I think it adds a lot of creaminess to different dishes. And I like my avocados pretty ripe. I do. I know sometimes my family thinks I'm eating them, past expiration, but I like them soft. I don't like it when I take it out of the, what do you call it? I guess the rind, or whatever it is, the skin, and it's hard. I don't like that at all. So I will definitely choose to eat more of an overly ripe avocado. However, if they get too ripe, I don't want to throw them away. I would freeze them. So I just slice them up and put them in a baggie. And I always like to label them with the date and things like that, just so I know how long they've been in there. And then whenever I freeze them, I'll just make sure that I rotate those so that the newest ones are toward the back. So, and again, if you want some recipes for avocados, there are so many out there, you won't even know where to begin. And last but not least are dark berries. Dark berries, when I talk about all berries in general are great, well, most of them are great for you. Some of them tend to be a little bit high in sugar. But when I talk about dark berries, I mean blackberries, acai berries, blueberries, elderberries. Like I said, other berries are nutrient dense, but the darker the better. And berries are full of antioxidants, which, fight cancer. They lower the risk of diabetes. They can reduce inflammation. Most of them are high in vitamin C, which we all really need, especially during the winter months, especially when you are a college student and you are in close quarters with a lot of different people every day. Vitamin C is a key factor in keeping you healthy. And berries tend to be lower in calories, and they're naturally sweet. So sometimes we can add a little bit of Splenda if we want to, but it's usually not necessary. And I think they're very easy to eat and transport. I think, and they're so colorful. I think if you make a fruit salad, it just looks very appealing. Either, if you're just going to eat that at home, or if you're going to throw some on top of your yogurt, whatever you're going to do, I think it's a good snack for kids because they are sweet, and I think it, like I said, it's appealing. Okay, and I like to use them in my smoothies for sure. And I don't like to use fresh berries in my smoothies. I don't know why. I think I like the frozen part of the frozen berries because then I don't have to add any ice cubes or things like that. And to be honest, I think it saves a lot of time to do, a really quick smoothie, frozen berries, spinach, maybe just a tiny scoop of protein powder or the diabetic slim fast, a little bit of water, almond milk, and you're out the door. And again, I would like to save my fresh berries for my snack. And again, mix them into yogurt, put them on top of hot or cold cereal, make a beautiful fruit salad, maybe add a little bit of cantaloupe, muskmelon, watermelon, pineapple, whatever it is. It's great. And just remember, a little side note, if you're going to have the melons, I think it's important to not have like a sugar overload. So I do like to rinse my melons. I know that sounds weird, and I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but if you do it every time, it's just one of those things that you do to make you just a little bit healthier. And I like to throw them on top of my desserts and baked goods. Angel food cake, a lot of people just use strawberries. I'll throw every single berry that I can. And if I'm going to do that, yeah, I do. I mix them with a little bit of Splenda, stevia, truvia, whatever you choose to use as your artificial sweetener. I think it just gives them it gives it a little bit of a syrupy type consistency. And I think it makes it just a little bit sweeter. And if you want to go ahead and top that with some Cool Whip, obviously stick to the sugar-free. But remember, fat-free is not sugar-free. So if you want to make sure it's sugar-free, make sure it says sugar-free, not fat-free. And it's great as a garnish. I know if we're maybe having a cocktail now and then, or if we're going to, have company over and we're, maybe even doing like a orange juice or, a 7-Up type punch, we'll throw some berries in there with a, little bit, sprig of rosemary or some mint. It just looks really pretty. So they're really pretty to garnish. And again, salads, right? Always salads. You can top your salads with berries, and I know people like, to add red onions to that. And the dressing, you would use a poppy seed or a vinaigrette. It just be a little bit sweeter. All right, so there you have it. 10 foods that you should be eating. Now remember, this does not mean that you need to eat these every day, and just because you eat these, you're healthy. And it also doesn't mean that if you don't eat them that you're not healthy. I went down the list of recommendations that I tell my clients on probably a daily basis, honestly. And I think these were ones that as a college student, they're easy for you. I think they're affordable. They're easy to use. I don't think that you have to buy any of them in, such massive quantities that you're not going to be able to use it in time. And I think a lot of them can be mixed together, and there's a lot of different ways you can prepare, a lot of these. And for instance, if you don't like salmon, you can find another fish, but I chose salmon because it has that healthy omega-3 fatty acids. So again, pick from the list, eat what you like, and let me know what you think. Till next time, take care.